Find insight, guidance, and answers. Tune into Spirit with radio medium Laura Lee.
Did you know you can reclaim your spirit from narcissistic abuse? Stay tuned if you want to learn more. My name is Laura Lee. I'm your host of the Radio Medium Show, and this is your 5-minute Spirit Reboot. Joining me today is my special guest, podcast host of A Fine Time for Healing, and author of Close Encounters of the Worst Kind, the Narcissistic Abuse Survivor's Guide to Healing and Recovery. Welcome, Randi Fine.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, Randi, how and where did you have the inspiration to write a guide for narcissistic abuse?
Narcissistic abuse is my expertise, and I've been coaching people for many years. And the thing about narcissistic abuse is that when I'm working with somebody, it takes several times for me to kind of go over what the message I'm trying to convey, because I'm trying to change their thinking back to a normal way because they've had mind control used on them.
You were in a narcissistic abusive relationship. What was your aha moment?
Believe it or not, I was 42 years old, and I all of a sudden could realize that I didn't like my mother. I loved my mother, and I believed that she loved me, but there was a very strange feeling that I had, and I just couldn't connect with it. So I went exploring, and I realized some of the things that were going on really had a name. And when I was able to put narcissistic personality disorder to her, it explained everything, explained my whole life.
What are the top 3 signs someone would recognize they're in a narcissistic relationship?
The abuse is emotional and mental, psychological. It is rarely physical, can be. It can be sexual, can be financial, can be spiritual. But largely, it's emotional, mental abuse. And what a person will feel is, number one, they feel like they are being controlled. Like you feel like a puppet master is sort of guiding you. Another thing is they don't really know who they are anymore. It sort of takes away their individuality and they begin to sort of meld into something that they don't even realize. The very most popular one is they're depressed, they have anxiety, and the anxiety is almost all the time. So it's this low-lying anxiety that they live with every moment of every day.
That's sad to hear. So what would be the first step to recovery for someone recognizing these signs to reclaim their spirit, even if they're in one still?
It's very difficult for someone to do this by themselves, and that's because this is brainwashing, mind control. But the first thing is to believe yourself, because the tendency is to distrust your intuition. So the first thing is, if you think something's happening, generally it really is. But when you're in these kind of relationships, you're talked out of your reality. So believe your feeling, believe your intuition, and then understand you can get help for this. It feels very hopeless, but it's really not. And when I work with people, it's a very short process to get them through this. But if without the right kind of help, it will be a lifetime of suffering.
What would you say is the biggest takeaway from the guide itself?
The biggest takeaway is it validates the experience of the abused. I talk about every kind of relationship that one could have with a narcissist. So everybody can see themselves in this, like I tell a story at first. So everybody can kind of go through there and find themselves in particular relationships and see exactly how it began, what it feels like, how it progresses. But there's 5 sections to the book. Basically, what this is and how it's related to other disorders and what the relationships look like. And then I go into how you heal from this, what the collateral damages are.
Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with all of us today. The book, Close Encounters of the Worst Kind, the Narcissistic Abuse Survivor's Guide to Healing and Recovery from Randi Fine. Where can they find it?
Amazon is the best place to go for it.
Well, thank you. And if you like this episode and you like more 5-Minute Spirit Reboots, subscribe to this channel, and thank you for joining us today.